Thank you, Tim, and thank you for the opportunity to present the OreCorp and the Nyanzaga project. Next slide, please. Please take note of our disclaimers. They're available on our website. Next. So OreCorp's Nyanzaga Gold Project is recognized as one of the world's best undeveloped gold projects. The project is expected to deliver nearly 250,000 ounces of gold per year for the first 10 years of production at a low all-in sustaining cost of $954 per ounce. So the project has sufficient scale, longevity, and margin to provide an excellent foundation for the birth of a mid-tier gold producer. We have secured our key permits, being the special mining license and the environmental certificate, and we are on track for first gold production during the second half of 2025. Next slide, please. So OreCorp is ASX listed with the ticker code Oscar Romeo Romeo, head office in Perth. Our Nyanzaga Gold Project is located in the northwestern part of Tanzania, 60 kilometers southwest of the second largest city in Tanzania called Mwanza. Next slide, please. So as Tim had mentioned, the market cap at the moment around 150 million Australian dollars. So very modest considering the size of the project. We've got a well-established share register with 68% of the shares held by our top 20 shareholders. We've got several high net worth individuals, well-respected mining professionals invested in the company, such as Nick Giorgetta from Regis and Equigold fame. Also, more recently, Tim Goyder from Liontown and Chalice fame. Now, participation by these mining professionals provide excellent project validation. Next slide, please. The hill in the center of the photo, sorry, just one back, there's hosts our Nyanzaga deposit. It is a big mineralized system, 6.3 million ounces in the resource at a zero cutoff grade. Next slide, please. The DFS base case financial model was based on a gold price of $1,750 per ounce. It returned a post-tax NPV of $618 million US. At a 2,000 gold price, so around today's gold price, that NPV increases to $905 million US. So a significant jump in NPV as the gold price moves up. Similarly so with the project internal rate of return of 32% at a $2,000 per ounce gold price. And then also payback reduces to less than 3 years. Next slide, please. So we are currently in this value valley, what they call, having completed our feasibility study. Importantly to me, it also marks the next leg of the journey where I believe significant value can be created through the successful project financing, delivery, and then ultimately gold production. So I do believe this is an excellent opportunity for investors to join us on the next leg of the journey. Next slide, please. So the project is located in the Lake Victoria Goldfields. It's a province of world-class gold endowment that produced more than 25 million ounces of gold historically. We've got several majors invested in that area, more specifically AngloGold Ashanti through the Geita gold mine. Geita produced 500,000 ounces a year since end of the 1990s. There's Barrick Gold through the Bulyanhulu gold mine and also North Mara. More recently, BHP's investment in Kabanga Nickel. Our project is well supported by infrastructure and services, and that's very important for the successful development of the project. So we've got an existing access road that runs past the project site. We've got access to water from Lake Victoria, and then access to power in the national grid from the existing Bulyanhulu substation. Importantly, the power in the Tanzanian grid is deemed green power, being generated through a combination of hydro and natural gas, and very competitively priced at 8 cents per kilowatt hour. Next slide, please. So we completed the definitive feasibility study in August 2022, priced in this high cost environment. DFS delivered a reserve of 40 million tons at plus 2 grams per ton for 2.6 million ounces. excellent production profile, long life, and then a high margin through that low all-in sustaining cost of $954 per ounce. Pre-production capital cost of $474 million US. That includes the concurrent development of an open pit, an underground mine, and a 4 million ton per annum process plant. Next slide, please. The reserve is hosted in 3 areas, being the Nyanzaga open pit, underground, and then the Kilimani deposit. Nyanzaga remains open at depth, Kilimani at depth and along strike. Next slide, please. So the open pit mining average grade through life of mine 1.3 grams per ton at a 3.7 to 1 strip ratio. Underground mine designed for 1.5 million tons per annum at an average grade of 3.55 grams per ton. And then the process plant 4 million ton per annum, very conventional process flow sheet, well-proven technology, and expecting an average life of mine recovery of 88%. Next slide. We expect to produce nearly 200,000 ounces of gold during our first 12 months of production, then steadily increasing to almost 300,000 ounces per year for years 5, 6, and 7. So a significant production profile ahead. Next slide, please. We've identified several project opportunities, more specifically opportunities to extend the life of mine through an exploration target area as a depth extension to the underground. We believe that may contain between 4 and 6 million tons of ore at 3.5 to 4 grams per ton. At a $1,750 gold price, there's a 4th stage to the Nyanzaga open pit. That optimized shell contains 8.4 million tons at 1.17 grams per ton. And as I mentioned earlier, Kilimani remains open at depth and along strike. So we believe the combination of those 3 areas may add another 3 or 5 years to our current life of mine. Next slide, please. Our exploration effort to date was really focused on the validation of the Nyanzaga and Kilimani resource. We still have a underexplored license holding, both within the SML, but also our surrounding license package. Last year, we completed a wide-spaced air core drilling campaign that identified high-grade near-surface mineralization within 3 kilometers of Nyanzaga in the Zwingli igneous complex. So that justifies further follow-up drilling in future. Next slide, please. Next slide. We are making good progress with our project financing. That is the key focus for us at the moment. Well advanced with discussions on the debt with a syndicate of banks comprising Tanzanian, Southern African, and European banks. We've also had an inbound proposal from one of the biggest North American royalty and streaming groups, and are working closely with that group to further define a potential streaming proposal as part of the project finance package. And then lastly, SLR, being the independent technical and ESG consultant on behalf of the banks, are now well advanced with their due diligence and reporting process. They've already completed their site visit. So project financing in general, progressing well and also well advanced. Next slide, please. We maintain very strong relations with our host community. We are very well supported. We've spent a lot of time and money over the past 18 months through the Resettlement Action Plan, and that's now ready for implementation. Our emissions intensity benchmarks very low compared to the rest of the industry, and we see that further improving as the hydro component in the national grid increase in future. Next slide, please. So we're aiming to complete our project financing during the second half of 2023, commence early construction works around that same time, and then anticipate to produce our first gold 2 years thereafter. So we believe that's a reasonable and achievable time frame for the size of the project, considering where we are and the well-supported infrastructure and services at our disposal. Next slide, please. So essentially, Nyanzaga is an excellent opportunity for us as a company. It's a rare long-life asset. We've got our key permits in place. There's a healthy margin at current gold price, well advanced with our project financing work stream. and we anticipate gold production by the end of 2025, so not too far in the future. It's a project of excellent scale, and really a project we believe will form a solid foundation for the birth of a mid-tier gold producer. So I thank you for your interest, and would like to ask that you keep us on your radar and follow our progress going forward. Thank you, Tim. Over to you.
Thanks, Henk. Looks like a fantastic asset, and of course Tanzania. Tanzania has been in the headlines recently for a lot of good reasons. You've had the US Vice President there putting in place a strategic framework with the government. You've also had framework agreements from a number of companies with the Tanzanian government, Ecograph, Black Rock Mining, I think Evolution Mining. What's your engagement like with the government in Tanzania? Is it necessary?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tim. We've seen a significant return of investor confidence in Tanzania. We've seen several majors return in the form of BHP. We're actively engaging with the government. We've seen several changes in senior level. I've recently spent about 10 days meeting with various government officials, and the changes have really been encouraging. There's really good active dialogue happening. Sorry for that. Yeah, so I think all in all, we've put behind us these 5 years of legacy issues. Speaking to the business community in Tanzania, they really see big upside for the economy in the years to come.
And you mentioned that you've had some debt finance discussions with the European and African banks. Given the nature of the conversations with the US government and Tanzania, do you think you could open up those discussions, those debt discussions with some of the US banks?
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of participation from the US banks in Tanzania in particular, not in recent times. As I mentioned, we are well advanced with our discussions with a syndicate of banks. So whilst the US engagement is very important, and will certainly help to support the interest from, I mentioned, the big North American royalty and streaming company. I think on the debt side, we feel very confident with the syndicate that we've already identified and are in detailed discussions with.
And you mentioned the term streaming proposal. What is that in terms of a funding proposal?
Yeah, so essentially a stream is or the mechanism is such that a company will provide you capital upfront or funds upfront in return for a portion of your future production. So pick a number, perhaps they give you $100 or $150 million upfront, and in exchange for that, you provide them with a certain percentage of your production. And it started off initially predominantly focused on byproducts. So where you had gold companies with a silver stream, and a financier would then take hold of that byproduct stream, and that's now furthered into the main production streams in our case gold.
Understood. And given the kind of lot of activity in Tanzania, do you see kind of M&A posing a potential risk, someone coming and taking you out?
Well, it has to be a big risk for us considering our modest market cap at the moment, unfortunately. Having said that, and Steve Land of Franklin Templeton talked to this at a recent conference in the US, there's disconnect in valuation of the developers versus project value. And that does make M&A quite difficult in that for the acquiring party, they now need to offer significant multiples of your current market cap, which makes it quite difficult for them to demonstrate that to their respective boards. And where they then issue or offer a historical maybe 25-30% premium, given the developers are so undeveloped, that's then not attractive for the seller. So at the moment, this big disconnect in valuations is not helping the M&A activity.
Henk, that's all we have time for. Fascinating story. We'll love to catch up with you later on in the year.
Thank you, Tim. Much appreciated.
Thanks for your time.